What are the places a camera can't go? How would it look to use some of these generative AI tools informed by a real photographic or image making practice, learning off of real work that is produced by an artist, right? Leveraged by the artist themself to produce something that they cannot make with a camera? That's interesting.
I wanted to ask a little bit about the challenges that generative AI poses to creative professions. I mean, sometimes you see people say things like, "Oh, well, you don't need to be an artist now. You can just use an AI." You have some, I think, I wouldn't call them micro scandals because I think they are pretty significant, but like within certain artistic communities, the unacknowledged use of AI in certain corners has become very controversial within those communities. Can you talk a little bit about, either of you, both of you, about the challenges that artists face with this new technology?
I have strong feelings about this. There are people who will lose their jobs. Those jobs are things that are easily reproducible. And from a fine arts perspective, maybe not that interesting. I think that overwhelmingly what's also true is I am super bored by almost everything I've seen that people are calling art in the generative AI space. It lacks soul, it lacks rigor, it doesn't move me. And I think it's because people aren't the right people, either haven't gotten their hands on it yet, or people aren't thinking critically enough about what is it that this tool can do for us that prior mediums cannot, right? We face this with every invention of every new technology that we as artists use. And so I'm really curious in this space about what can only it do? What are the places a camera can't go? How would it look to use some of these generative AI tools informed by a real photographic or image making practice, learning off of real work that is produced by an artist, right? Leveraged by the artist themselves to produce something that they cannot make with a camera? That's interesting. I don't know if it's good or bad or wrong or right, but I don't know that we've explored the potential of it in this realm to its fullest extent yet. And I think that urgently, we need to become fluent, because what I know from my last job is it's not stopping and we will be left behind.
When I think of generative AI, I really view it as regurgitative AI. And there's been so much talk today about archives. And when I think of archives in the sense of AI systems, I think about data sets and who's included in the data set, who's not included in the data set as well. When it comes to artist agency at the Algorithmic Justice League, we did a campaign called the 4Cs campaign. So we are thinking, first of all, where's the consent? So much of what people look at with AI, generative AI systems that inspire awe, is because it has been taken from what inspired awe created by humans in the first place. So ask me before you use my images, right? Then there's, of course, the compensation piece. Who's making money? And I was so glad to see the fellowships that you shared earlier with some of the projects you were doing. And then there's another piece of credit as well. And I think where you're getting at is the fourth C when we're thinking about creative rights here, which is control and agency. Maybe I do want to experiment with these tools. And what I find often with the Algorithmic Justice League, when we're talking to artists, composers, filmmakers, people are dabbling, but they're dabbling in the dark because there's a stigma around using these tools, and understandably so, right? If they're made on contested data, at best, stolen data, it makes sense. And so are there spaces where we can actually create ethical AI pipelines so that you feel confident, right, when you are starting to experiment, and also you know a little bit more about where the data is coming from and where the data is going. And so I do think those options can be available, but we're generally not going to have it coming from the big tech players as they're situated right now. So generative AI is looking a little bit regurgitative, you know, and we want to have that flavor that human experience imbues into art and creative practice.
Facial recognition block, we're here to make a plan and can't nobody stop. Everyone turn on your facial recognition block, we're here to make a plan and can't nobody stop.